Hello, President Trump. Chief, more importantly, there were a whole bunch of people tied to a Victorian house in Two Rail Highway in my town who are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with all kinds of natures of racketeering, and that apparently you don't realize because this is tied to Washington D.C., Pentagon, and through time uses of mobile gas stations. People associated with that with racketeering also interbranch family members on and off shared policing of downtown Hartford, criminal uses of Weathersfield Police Department to Mendez Police, whole bunch of state police associated with Eric Jensen, people associated with on off Two Rod Highway houses, people associated with on off the state judicial branch of them criminally, with houses in my area, with their extended family members, with roles, with attaching me to fake locations since I was a kid. Their roles with all kinds of racketeering with evidences, pretending they have the right to lie. They have state police, associated private, a whole bunch of retired and standing judges and police forms, interbranch associated with locations on off all the corners on Maple Street are involved with racketeering acts and databases. Now, Eric Jensen recorded, confessed, and demonstrated his family's involved with state police, and there's a Sandra Spada and Antonetta Spada, and they have other sisters and a brother Joe Spada, and they have a family that associated with this foreign and domestic military overt criminal enterprises. People associated Dearborn and Newington, other police forms in Newington, people associated with John Maiano on off that location with sequence ships, whole groups. People also attached to people I never had a conversation, never was in relationship to in my life, like Joshua Julian, recorded crimes with overt criminal enterprises, verbal federal crimes, crimes interbranch on off campuses with child offenders, proven and more child abuses and natures of federal crimes with the family members of people on the child sex offender registry, especially if made up. Criminal uses of Confederate flag and of intercultural racket natures, real sick natures, into on off CCSU, on off Middlesex Community College. They're trying to force you to stay natives with them, states and areas criminally foreign influenced sciences, criminally foreign influence uses of the departments at campuses, uses of the deans and of their family members, whole bunch of natures of medical racketeering crime acts roles. So now they also have a whole bunch of houses in my area involved with this, election crimes, criminal uses of Facebook for it, where they're faking things on Facebook and interbranch pretending to perceive it. A whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved crimes with a whole bunch of Kerr family people. An officer, Jerry Miller, further recorded and confessed and demonstrated them federal crimes with overt criminal enterprises with the area, their criminal uses of the witness protection program and their roles with wire crimes, mail crimes through time. I hope to God that you don't have faith in the people from Weathersfield with the interbranch, with the line of racketeering, not legal roles from all on Church Street in Old Weathersfield. That house in the corner involved on and off involved with the English department, a whole bunch of ways criminally involved with people from my town with interbranch family members of all different levels and their families involved. Intercampuses Crime Act. This is a crime method that's using standing the nature or volume, all criminal and seditious nature self-value. And they affect crime methods where everyone speaks through others using other things, but they're not speaking directly. In other words, they're offensively telling people they're lying. That's where they're communicating. And they're pretending to be about truth. And that's a problem because interbranch, there are forging names, switching names, judges, attaching me and other kids through time to fake locations, spreading lies through other parents, ones that I need to counter that are interbranch with their kids, spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises. There's Joshua Julian. All the private prison cliques tied to them, They're real sick. They're real sick people, President Trump. Please don't have them hide behind the sick courts involved with them. And Sandy Hook, especially if that was all made up. They're recorded involved with racketeering with an O'Brien family, involved with criminal uses of a whole bunch of people tied to the ends of the corners of the principal child offenders camp, especially made up. Those people are involved with a whole bunch of name stacking, a crime method recorded name stacking against people. They're in the background lying every time I speak. On and off the state judicial branch offices, on and off Oliveri's house down the street from there, on and off it with Fianza's involved with crimes with a whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises, people associated with the Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors involved. Whole bunch of natures of crimes. Crime rolls with police breaking into my house without a warrant, threatening me with the extended family members that pretended to know me behind my back through time. They also tried to validate that, but with crimes on and off the campuses connected, like the CCSU Magnet campus on Franklin Avenue in Hartford. These are people involved. A whole bunch of scholaras involved with a whole bunch of people that were involved with criminal acts connected at each of the campuses I went to, with life progressions. Their recorded roles needs to hide their roles with database organized crime when I was in grammar school. Same people involved with that. I found out later when I was in um, kindergarten, they were lying about me. I was the only one who could think in that class. These are people involved with all bunch of medical corruption, natures and methods of it. Whole bunch of people associated with Ray Reynolds. I barely know him. He's also involved with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic medical, military, overt criminals. A whole bunch of people involved with racketeering with databases, identity natures of identity theft, identity fraud, worse, on off Middletown locations, on off CCSU with many names that were facilitated to that, like a Jen Cormier. They have a whole bunch of, they have the name Jen. I don't know what you guys are sick. Not you personally. I'm saying modern nations. Identities of law can't defend themselves and stand. Correlation nature with sequence true. Our inherent active and progressive course true always. And by those means beyond that. That's where prayer is correlation, value to correlation nature by science. But we have this offensively obfuscated and worse by each science categorically, by each science sequentially, because this sequence nature is its own relationship to all identities of value progression individually grouped and together at once. So they also have now a whole bunch of families, people are attached to. Their houses are attached to near a pond near my house. I never had a conversation with that girl except for a nonverbal one from across the field. She's involved with the new and past neighbors with this Dillon family involved. Crimes with judges through time. Crimes of the database of the school I went with. Crimes with the extended family members with their identity thefts. Crimes with the state forensics lab through time with them, with these people. Recorded confessed by a Bob Chase involved with them federal crimes with child sex offenders. We have also physical delusions recorded with psychology, all kinds of racketeering with Justice Department and with Pentagon and intermilitary. Look at that people stacking on the VA. You can't tell American history about the zoning laws, and no one can. I mean, not you, you can't tell. No one can tell about the zoning laws, their roles with the fact cheating nature slavery of our founders, their roles with quality of fact cheating nature as criminal and seditious nature, with those crazy laws against everyone. Not by accident, they don't have everyone that glorified and not realized by everyone. Just blacks were slaves. This is a game using. This is the people that are pretending to be against by integrity by being against things that they're not even honest about. In other words, we have people pretending to perceive prejudice that are offensive, very bad people, and they know this. See, but with this is we're actually recorded. But see, these are people faking things recorded because they have crime methods already in cases already through time. They have crime methods, everything, everyone tied to them, perfected because of how their nature of volume was is exploited. Standing everyone's. They want you to stay with the news being briefed by criminally foreign influenced campuses and the people associated with the shared policing sick like that here and there. Of course, you're not going to be. No one's going to be able to. We're in a trap from that was set here since before our founders. So no, any individual group and all together would only be able to afford this pathology. What causes negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures? They force propagated. Everyone needing to hide styles, roles, natures of criminal diseases, nature needing to of logic. Criminal, you can't tell and stand logic's actual course, quality of fact, treatment nature, especially with sequence true. So there are houses on both sides of the pond and on both sides of it and on all sides of it that were they're victims. See, they were facilitated to crimes associated with this Eric Jensen, with this curfew. I don't know if he knows that, but I mean, directly, he's involved with a whole bunch of police forms that are pretend they have integrity and that are involved with a whole bunch of natures of crime at once. Where they're also preventing me from getting a counter to it, and they're using gun crime, the natures of gun crimes, because they're too punk cowards to do anything but forge names and switch names with the courts, with the police forms and the judges retired and standing criminally involved, leading up to a 2006 case and leading up to other cases before that, leading up to the case in the Trade Center attack right next to it, part of a case slash S with the Ninth Circuit right before it, having shown post dated documents from inside the court. These are other inside out of court racketeering crime acts rolled with New Britain Superior Court. A whole bunch of Hartford other natures of courts, natures of the same courts, intercities, on and off the state judicial branch offices, on and off houses and businesses in the location involved with them through time with high racketeering crime acts rolls. Whatever's Washington, D.C. Trade Center is real sick. I'm sorry if I said something about a Ken Bowen or something, someone like that. Supposed to be a guy that was a good guy. In other words, in relation to labor rights and stuff like that. Now I saw him in the media, and so I said something like I was like jabbing because I'm trying to figure out because he was up there with Hillary Clinton and stuff like that, and I know she didn't set this up. Barack Obama didn't have free speech, and we wouldn't be in this trap. That's recorded. He didn't have free speech. That there's a quality of free speech forced to entertain criminal and seditious nature. Now, the media doesn't know how to react because the lawyers are all types of styles of law that you can't defend it else and at the same time from what exploits originally and still. Their physical delusions. Their racketeering rules with other methods and natures of crime and methods. Well, it's not my type of law. But they're exploiting what is the sciences and all the ideas. So therefore, all the types of law are affected. In other words, if you're involved with racketeering and you're leaving racketeering acts and motivations and natures recorded but left out of the context, so these are crime methods with fact treatment nature. These are opinion natures where they have each branch of government lifted, individually grouped and together. You can't defend their quality of fact treatment nature, pretended integrity of positive, of freedom, of patriotism. They're not patriotism here. They're nowhere. Not where it counts. Not but following orders into what is sick, and so get sick results. Which psychology is real sick. You can't even follow the law now. America, other nations, Connecticut, you're in trouble. We need federal stewardships of Connecticut. We need federal stewardships of Wethersfield. We need federal stewardships of the campuses further. They have DACA tied to this in ways that this is an organized crime method The doctors all victim predators. This was here with databases since before our founders were born. This pathology of infrastructure of tactically denatured relationship to nature and to nature's nature, which is Trinity, which science reveals. We have they have crime methods, acts, and natures recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They make people put fake sides of correlation nature, pretending vetting and things like that. But they're really what they're doing is off the records, using that for make them self-value, cultivated roles with lie progression, cover up natures, and lie progressions, because originally and still you can't be a formal identity of law as this and not be anything but a lie progression from that spot, especially Justice Department. Where's justice? These are sicker than gangs with the uses of gavels and guns. They're in collusion with overt criminal enterprises, private ones originally and still self-value. You can't self-value that. No one can. And counter what exploits no one being able to afford individually grouped or together, anything else but the pathology of infrastructure, of even being able to fathom other, not by accident. And this is since before cars, these pathology of homes and infrastructure. So, what do I do? What do I do to get a response? I try everything. You ask nice though. These are behavior predators lying about our behavior, physical delusions. Whole bunch of women judges involve crimes with these kids, crimes with the uses of the ground, criminal uses of on off the New Haven FBI. Their crime acts roles with databases. Before that, now they're libel aggressions. Now they need to pretend that they need to adapt because they're training sick people with the law. Yale can't teach about the law. UConn can't teach about the law. They're involved with racketeering, especially with psychology. Their delusions raw. They're involved with racketeering, everything, even sociology. These aren't identities of law. These are liars. These are delusions wrought, criminally foreign influence, victim predators, high predators. That's what they're actually recorded as. Please get me a response. And for the retired too, retired and standing interbranch police forms associated with WFSB recorded with these racketeering acts on off the state judicial branch offices per a Fianza family. Also, the other sources of them involve crimes with mayors retired and standing, like a Gold family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved Washington D.C. His daughter and son. I don't, I don't know. I never met his son. I barely know his daughter. She was involved with sequence shifts, behavior crimes, emotion crimes to pretend other. That I had a conversation with her before she got mad. These are also people involved crimes with verbal federal crimes with overt criminal enterprises through time, like a Joshua Julian. Criminal uses of Facebook with child sex offenders and his roles with narratives about things that were proven. So they're exploiting things that how we have trade center agreements, demonstrably, in other words, left abridged, Constitution self-value, originally still. Counter only to positive only in relationship to sick natures of progressions like with nuclear weapons. Humanity has the time and the effort to make nuclear weapons and all that things like that and the counter thing, but no one has the time to counter the tactically nature relationship to nature for pathology of infrastructure self-value with it, force with the fact should be nature slavery and torture of our founders, pounding drums. That's why I say it. It's not chief is a value. So if chief has free speech, one nature of the truth is native pure alone, as all exceptions while as truth. And here, and where value is invisible but still discernible, of course, they don't predicate anything right. They're racketeering bodies. They're only capable of contrast per the nature of child abuse of each branch of government individually grouped in together. They never heard law's voice, and with sequence true. Ever heard Logic's course, The Way of Things, Boxings? Please get these sick. The whole bunch of people associated with fire departments and with locations. These are I shouldn't have to draw a map of the ground from here to CCSU because of the strangers involved with the racketeer. A whole bunch of people associated with two Brendan Leahys, with a whole bunch of people at New Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of nature crimes who kid through time, fake conversation with me, forging names, switching names, former director of the FBI down. Police interbranch leading up to and in a 2006 case. McCoy confessed lying or two. I have the lying about my sources, my requests for help for other people asking for help. They use those people to attach me to fake locations. These are people, a whole bunch of people on and off CCSU involved right through the Obama administration. Exactly what you can't self-value and counter with slavery was a part of that racketeering method. And what do? They have the guy Cuba there now. Do you see the Cuba? These guys with psychology, with these fake nation sides. Russia psychology too. They're victims who pretend that they want to speak now about positive. Oh, you value the teacher, the education. They're those educational places are in collusion with the overt criminal enterprises originally instilled. All those motivations, natures, needs, and interests for the people involved with the overt criminal enterprises are juxtaposed through what really keeps them. That's why they have the Fox Connecticut News racketeering roles with undercover associated with these people, like two whole bunch of people associated with the name Joey Quest, whole bunch of people associated with Mike Pantano. I don't know his sister's name. I don't know him either. These are people involved with identity theft racketeering. We have intersect. I need someone to counter. I need a name with that one name in sequence. Say they're switching names and sequences too because they're using the identity of the ground. Thought they're already messed up. They did this especially with science classes and science teachers and math teachers and how they're associated with the locations like at the end of the town line road, all ends of it, and with the congressman's wife and stuff like that, family associated with on off town line road offices and things like that, location. A whole bunch of people associated with the Spada family, with the FBI and the Della Fera family, and the whole bunch of the Alessandra Spada. She had like three boyfriends in a row. One of them was brother with her sisters. They had him make confessions to me because that's a probate court judge's family. These are courts that are putting people pretended locations with officers on off campuses, forging names, switching names, putting people to fake locations. These are a whole bunch of natures of sick people with our identities of experts for unlogic. I'll delineate their delusions now from their criminal foreign influences. Please get the names too, because the media is involved with racketeering with houses on and off these locations. They want me to blame the people, like the woman associated with the people that live around Marco Mancini, involved with also criminal uses of Native Americans. I don't care if they're victim, predator, no, his family members also involved with these. Joe DeMoro, the people that hung around, whole houses next to their friends involved with state police families, whole bunch of people associated with a Dillon family, retired and standing, and involved with a whole bunch of racketeering acts, with databases at my school, with people on and off the state judicial branch criminally involved with him, on and off the state prison offices, whole bunch of predicate acts with the fake news that attach me to fake conversation with them, telling lies because they need to hide lie progressions from the past, tied to with all the falsified police reports through time. Not, I just remind, this is intercities connected because these were crimes on recorded, attach me to fake locations, fake ties to women, and or girls then, the intercities connected, intercampus is connected. A whole bunch of people with an IO family involved on and off. Whole bunch of people with a Joshua Stryker, with state police and with courts and their family members and like Dr. Shu, his wife, involved with probate court, with this Delafair family. The judges with all natures of drug crime, gambling crime, identity theft, identity fraud roles, database racketeering roles, illusions, lying through whole groups, criminal uses of identity, ground location, people with the next to the campuses that don't even go to those schools who get involved with the falsified police report narratives with because they live next to the school but they don't go to it. A whole bunch of people associated with the Weathersfield police chief's daughter, her extended family member, who was her and her husband. Reportedly, her husband went to my school, but I never had a class with them, and I barely know him. And he's in other words, these are people that these are police forms that they own. Their extended family member owned Mazzucato pastry, so they have them involved with all their friends and stuff like that involved with racketeering with them, with the houses, with the people that don't go to your school, but they connect with fake things put in databases, recorded. I couldn't get a response when I was a kid. I recorded this. Their roles with drug dealing, natures of crimes that I recorded more and more because they were obligated then to respond. These are people, these are criminal uses of drugs right through because other natures of motivations for the drug dealing, right? Using uses of the sensibilities of the court, of the campuses. Police supposed to be against that. They'll have them set up people specifically to blame other people for what they do. In other words, these are people attaching people to fake locations through time. Whole bunch of people associated with a Brian Silva. Well, I never had a conversation with Brian Silver in my life. He's recorded and confessed involved with these two Brendan Leahys, forging names, switching names. They attached me to fake conversations about my father's cases that weren't at all. We had no conversation with my life. Forging names, switching names as doctors with triage place. They force you in there for evaluation if you raise your voice because you caught them involved with this Dillon family, my new and past neighbors. Whole bunch of natures of child abuse. Whole bunch of natures of confessions, demonstration of their crimes. Also, with the body dumping spot, the spot my father was died in. They were involved with racketeering with that spot right leading up to it against me. My father's enemies and the people that helped him with this case, like that won their own case, no, they're involved with racketeering against me, but these are people involved with the FBI criminally too. Stephen Manos. That's also involved with Officer McDonald's, a whole bunch of officers, police forms, foreign and domestic, associated with East Hartford, federal crimes, intercampuses of each age, nature, each intercity. UConn's real sick with their students, with their doctors. They can't defend themselves. They can't think. These are high predators with psychology, delusions, raw, criminally foreign influence, and I'll delineate that for now. Please get the judges to one name and sequence with the state's attorneys and with the prosecutors, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated high racketeering natures, really sick predators, women with the courts, really sick crime rules with child offenders. Please let me fix the fake news real fast too. WFSB, a whole bunch of natures of crimes with state police, with a whole bunch of other nations leading up to in the Trade Center attack context, leading up to and involved with a whole bunch of natures of other bad things, boxing. And then there's the pattern. There's a Mike Levine and a Mike Kerr, and there's a Jerry Kerr, more than one Jerry Kerrs, and then there's people with the KNER recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering with the Facebook pages of New Britain Superior Court and of campuses with child sex offenders, other natures of child abuse, roles with New Britain Superior Court with this Brian Silver that tied to these Leahy family, forging names, switching in, pretending I had conversation with me, crimes with a whole bunch of natures of federal crimes with a whole bunch of natures of courts, people on and off the state judicial branch offices. I shouldn't have to beg all this time. You guys should fear, not you, Chief. Please make them fear. If you don't want them to fear, but please let me show why they have to fear now. Because these are real bad people a long time. These are, especially if they made up the Sandy Hook, they're involved, those families, with the rushing, with their uses of those people, with the corners of the street, their uses of people, houses, all a bunch of corners, like associated with the Russians involved with them criminally here. A whole bunch of Russians. A lady repeated to me and my people in my family that she's Russian, that are involved when I was in the triage. They're forcing me to be there. They forced me to be in there 2 times for a month. One time for 3 days, I had no conversations. This Leahy family attached me to fake forged name, switch name. There are a whole bunch of people tied to him with that who are recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with racketeering and with houses in my area that I never had anything to do with. They had little drug cliques with untimely guests that brought up the child offenders. Now you have forging names, switch names, little cowards with guns working for you, Chief. You have a little sick chief and his daughter and her extended family member, real bad punks, fakes. Foreign, their extended family, they're foreign also involved with a whole bunch of, like Italy, with a whole bunch of rat mob. Justice Department, what's this guy coming to my house? These are some bad people. Don't they're lying to you, Chief. Please get me a response in the names of my new neighbor, because these are a whole bunch of nations and overt criminal enterprise and punk games that they're playing now with my new and past neighbors, crimes acts on all the campuses I went to, tied, facilitated, worse than facilitated, influenced to them. And I can't get a response because they're forging names, switching names outside intercampuses. All bunch of natures. They're worthless. Everything they think is worthless and worse. I'll show you how to make evolution. Our nations need to have the difference between positive in relationship to context to contrast that's maintained as a tool, breaching tool, fake science, self-value, not by accident. This is a fact-keeping nature. All offensive evidence racketeering is what explains color uses. A breaching organized crime method against everyone. Fact-keeping nature slavery against everyone. Offensive evidence reception, racketeering. Not prejudice motivated that. We have them needing to have people blaming prejudice, needing to pretend they don't realize while they're hurting people because they can't sustain correlation nature because they have a job that doesn't fit with correlation nature. It's real bad.